Hey everyone, you here. And today, I'm going to be talking about an idea that I've been juggling around in my head for quite a while. For my videos, I often do a lot of research in order to find games which are relevant examples of whatever topic I'm covering that week. It's amazing to me how varied speedruns are, how there's so many games to run and it seems like none of them really follow a pattern on how their speedrun functions. However, after watching hundreds of speedruns for my videos, I've begun noticing that that's not quite right, and that most speedruns follow a pattern on how they are run. I began subconsciously categorizing these games according to how they play, what's involved in their run, and what is required to speedrun the game. Each category ended up becoming a sort of genre in my mind. Again, none of my videos are intended to act as a catch-all, and just like music, movies, or books, there will always be speedruns which can't really be classified precisely by genre. Also, like music, most games are a fusion of two or more genres, so you might want to think of this as a sliding scale rather than a precise categorical listing. Examples of games which are highly execution-based are things like Mega Man, Super Mario Bros., and almost all glitchless categories. These games are what many would consider classic speedrun games, born from a time when utilizing too many glitches in a run was considered cheating. These execution-based runs rely on, well, proper execution. They simply boil down to playing the game extremely well. Usually, these games are platformers because they tend to have very precise controls which allow for a ton of optimization and movement. While some glitches or exploits might be used, the vast majority of the run relies heavily on optimal play. My previous video about speedruns that are good for new runners mostly included these types of games as they lend themselves really well to learning. While they might be very difficult to execute perfectly, they are usually fairly obvious speedrun games, as all you need to speedrun them is a lot of patience and practice time. Pathing-based games like Heroes of the Storm, StarCraft 2, and Pyre's Any Percent Run fall into this genre. These games mainly consist of creating and executing an efficient path. The main challenge of these games is learning the run and executing it well, rather than performing difficult glitches or precise inputs. Optimization and creativity with the path is usually where time will get shaved off, however efficient execution can also play a large role in reducing time. While other games certainly have extensive pathing, the pathing itself is the main aspect of this type of run. Figuring out exactly what decisions are optimal, when, and how they need to be executed can be done outside of a run rather than through extensive practice of the run itself. It should be noted that this makes many pathing-based runs likely to end up as dead categories or dead games, as once the most optimal path is found and executed to near perfection, it's very difficult to shave off any further time, and most runners are discouraged at the prospect of spending months to reduce the length of a run by a single second. Pathing-based speedruns are what I run almost exclusively, as they are a bit less skill-intensive. I also love the process of planning a run and figuring out exactly what is and isn't optimal. Enough about me though, let's get on to the next one. Knowledge-based speedruns such as Slay the Spire or Tetris often rely on the runner knowing everything possible about the game. This makes the act of accruing knowledge the main challenge. Oftentimes, runners must memorize all possible events that can occur in order to make correct decisions nearly immediately. Usually these games have some aspect of randomness, which rewards quick reaction based on game knowledge, rather than knowing the exact steps necessary to solve the situation. Personally, I think of this as something like playing Tetris compared to solving a Rubik's Cube. With Tetris, the pieces you get are largely random, however skilled players can make decisions based on the order of pieces they get in nearly an instant. With a conventional Rubik's Cube, however, once a player knows the initial pattern, they know exactly which steps must be taken in order to solve it. The aspect of randomness is really what separates knowledge-based games from pathing-based games. Games that would categorize as glitch-based include most Legend of Zelda games such as Wind Waker or Ocarina of Time, and others like Portal 2. These speedruns are less about playing the game well and more about playing the glitches well. Games in this genre are often very broken to the point that the base game design and gameplay no longer really matter. Executing glitches is really the meat of the run. While some aspects of the original intended gameplay mechanics might be used for the run, glitches are often used in some aspect of movement, combat, and, if possible, used to sequence break. This genre of game is often made possible by compounding glitches. This process involves a single glitch being discovered, which then enables the use of a previously impossible glitch due to new methods being available from the original glitch. A great example of this concept is the Wind Waker barrier skip. This process keeps continuing until the gameplay of a speedrun is almost unrecognizable compared to a glitchless run.
Wait.
Does any of this matter? It's all arbitrary, right? Well, yes, but things are categorized for a reason. I could separate all speedruns depending on whether or not their game has the letter P in the title, but that probably would be a little less useful. As I mentioned earlier, certain genres are easier for newer players, some are more skill intensive, and others can be easily learnt from a guide. These concepts can be factored in when trying to find a new game to run, or when suggesting a speedrun to a friend. It can even be a helpful way to get an idea of what kinds of games you like. There might be no concrete reason to categorize speedruns into genres, however the process nonetheless has value. Would you categorize games differently though? Keeping in mind that hybrid genres exist, how would you categorize your favorite speedrun? Leave your thoughts down below and feel free to discuss. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to subscribe since I'm planning on a lot more content in the near future. If you disliked the video, feel free to explain why down in the comments because I'm always looking to improve. Either way, I hope you enjoyed, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.